I was about to start stream and the light went out, and I checked it, like it was not overloaded. It was not too many things working at once. The light just went out and it came back right away. So it was the rain. So I apologize about that. But good thing I was about to start streaming, not in the middle of the stream. I think I'd be even more angry if that happened mid-stream. So hopefully it won't, just in case I turn off the AC. The only thing that's working right now is my computer. And let's hope it stays this way. Or else. But I saw that musical chef got first, so hello. I hope you're doing good. How's your Saturday been? How's your week been? Today I went to go cut my hair since July, so that's exciting. I cut a whole bunch of it. And then I went to have lunch with my sister, and I came back. That's it. Luckily, parking was not too hard to find today, so I would have been even more late if that was the case. But we're just thriving, trying to live our best life, you know. And I have my hot beverage here. Perfect. And I think without further ado, because I want to get as much advanced as I can, let's start the game. I don't know how long it is until I finish. Let me see. Game. What the fuck's happening? Okay, there it is. What? Oh, okay. You can see my mouse, but I can't. Oh, let me turn on my controller. That's probably helpful. Let me just see. Of the Devil, episode 1. Okay, controller's working. Let me see a video and see where we left off. Okay, I think we're really about halfway in. Oh, hello, how are you doing? I was just about to start. How's your weekend? How's your Saturday been? Yeah, this one. Yeah, I think we're about halfway in. Oh, sorry, my mic is a little too far away, so let's pull this back. Let me give it another sip. How are you doing? I'm doing good. It's been a good Saturday so far. How about yours? I'm gonna try and see if I remember the voice that I made. Pretty quiet elevators, huh? Dining room. You could have taken the next one. It's a busy building, detective. Can't hold up everyone else on our account. Anything you'd like to grumble at me before I start? Oh, right. Reyes is not the old man. It's her. That's good. I'm fine. That's good to hear. Don't touch anything. I don't care that you're wearing gloves. I have been to crime scenes before, you know. Long before the police get there in many cases. Look, Rockford asked me not to get in your way, but that doesn't mean I'm going to bend over for you. Do you at least have the autopsy report? No. Are you seriously? I don't. You can start streaming right now. I am. The light went out a bit ago, but right now it's working just fine, and I hope it stays this way. She doesn't? The report should have come in hours ago. It wouldn't take this long unless the cause of death was still... Then I'd settle for a summary of the preliminary findings. An emergency call was made shortly after 8 p.m. last night via the home security system. Emergency medical services had a VTOL in the air within the minute. They landed on the penthouse's helipad at 8:08. Dr. Asher was found unconscious with low blood pressure and weak heartbeat. He wasn't breathing. Oh no, Sarah. In-flight auto-triage administered artificial CPR while in transit to Gatesfield Memorial. He was declared dead a few minutes after being taken to the emergency wing. I see. Oh good, I see. So how often do you stream? About once a week I try. But now that December's coming up, I usually take 2 to 3 weeks off. So we'll see. But usually once a week. And the cause of death is being investigated. Make an educated guess. He stopped breathing, so they gave him oxygen. His heart stopped pumping, so they had the machines take over. His brain activity dropped to 0, and there wasn't anything else they could do. It was poison, wasn't it? What kind? You don't know, do you? Ah, they don't know either. Like I said, ma'am, we don't have the autopsy report yet. Why are you certain it was poison, Hadanai? Couldn't it have been an accidental overdose? If he had overdose on a commercial drug, even a pre-med student would have spotted on the hospital's intake screening. They would have been able to pump his stomach, neutralize his bloodstream, and he would have lived. But he didn't live. Alright, by the way, do you have Discord? Yeah, if you do !Discord, you can join in on our server, if you'd like to. I do all the announcements there, and we just share screenshots and stuff about games. You'd be welcome to join. So it must have been something deadly, a compound designed solely to kill. A fast-acting deadly poison that causes respiratory failure. The list can't be that long. Even just through process of elimination, the medical examiner should have identified by now, unless... You suspect a designer drug, don't you, detective? Why is it you're only quick on the uptake when it suits you? Nothing will make sense given what we know and what we don't. But the CDCA decriminalized and cataloged all recreational drugs. Guess you aren't entirely clueless about politics. Alright, thank you, I will show my artwork. Yeah, you can do it on the top art, for sure. So whatever Father overdosed on should have been in the hospital's database. You need to update your definitions. You're confusing designer drugs with recreational drugs. Okay, wait, terms. What's a designer drug? In the literal sense, designer merely denotes any drug that is custom-made as opposed to mass-produced, typically outside of normal pharmaceutical industry standards. In common parlance, however, designer drugs, DDs, okay, are illicit narcotics formulated to produce a recreational high. Wait, let me just adjust the monitors here. It's kind of pissing me off. While the CDCA and the white wave that followed legalized tax virtually, legalizing tax virtually all known narcotics, it did so alongside extensive documentation and study to those laws could only apply to drugs that already existed. Any drug patented after the white wave must go through approval processes and registration with national and international authorities, a time-consuming process that can take anywhere from 6 months to several years. And what's CDCA? CDCA. A series of laws passed in the 2060s that decriminalized all narcotics use and established a Bureau of Narcotics Oversight to administrate the production, licensing, distribution, and taxation of drugs across the country. Overwhelmed by city unrest and eager to replenish government coffers, the CDCA were intended to reduce the backlog of criminal cases across the country and provided much-needed tax income while also incentivizing immigration with a promise of amnesty. In what was considered a domino effect, other major nations around the globe passed comparable laws to build up their own depleted war chests and revitalize their local economies. The so-called white wave of global amnesty overturned the international drug trafficking market in just a few short years. The gray wave followed soon enough after money-starved criminal organizations waged economic and literal war against multinational corporations for dominance of this new gray market. Fierce competition for government licenses to produce classic narcotics emerged alongside a race to develop new, more powerful designer drugs to monopolize on their sale in the months it would take the government to identify and legalize them. While rates of addiction and overdose deaths have dropped since their peaks in the last 2 decades, the danger associated with untested designer drugs and drug distributors' eagerness to earn new customers has continued to fuel debate over the legacy of a CDCA and the white wave as a whole. Okay. What is the difference? Oh, I just went to look at this. Okay. Recreational drugs are decriminalized and sold through pharmacies after years of testing and mountains of paperwork, while the average designer drug was invented last week in a 90-year-old lined cook's bathroom in the other side of the globe. Hospitals can't know the proper countermeasures for an overdose of a drug that didn't exist 48 hours ago. I came across makeshift labs all the time when I was in uniform. The equipment's cheap and widely available. Black market cooks, gray market peddlers, and white-collar lobbyists all chasing each other's tails in a long line to find the next big hit. CDCA didn't change shit. More people die from ODs than ever before. Only difference is it's their families finding them in the living room and offbeat cops finding them on the street corners. Real comforting, I'm sure. Oh my god, she's so worried. If it wasn't you talking, I'd say that was a criticism of law enforcement. Not law enforcement, just a law. Assuming it was a designer drug, that would certainly make things more complicated. For the insurance guys, maybe. For us, whatever he used to do it, he still killed himself. Or didn't kill himself, if you insist. I'm going to take a look around now. Yeah, sure, make yourself at home. What's that face for? I thought there would be an outline. An outline? Around where they found father. Like in the movies? Like in the film. Connect to police's network and break up their ARCS file. Augmented reality crime scene. I see. Ooh. I'm in. There it is. There's the outline. There is an outline. And so this is where he died at the hospital. This is just where the medics found him. And it's the sensor and cameras they were wearing that create the basis for these arcs? They didn't realize they were walking into a crime scene, but their body cams gathered data all the same. Where do we start? You can start by following behind me and trying to be as quiet as possible. I'm starting to get the feel for when she's pouting even without looking. Okay. I always admired this view. The building gleam with reflections of holograms and sunlight, and their shadows obscure all the rundown, rotting parts of town. Maybe the view's secondary. Maybe all anyone really wanted is to put as much distance between them and the street level as possible. Is it possible that a witness could have seen something through these windows? Not through these windows, no. They've installed wide spectrum auto tint in all his homes, all his cars. I didn't know that. Well, you wouldn't have noticed unless you were viewing the penthouse for more than... Why did he care so much about his windows? He was worried. What's that? A chessboard and a data pad with a series of characters on it. E4, C5, and NF3, E6, D4, CX, D4, NX, D4. This is a game. Algebraic notations. Was he studying an old game or playing against himself? Black has checkmate in 40 moves. Wow, a robot that's good at chess. We ought to put you in a museum. But I'll take your word for it. Oh my god, she's so pouting. What do you mean? Do you not play Adonai? No, especially not against David. Well, that is to be expected. Anyone who challenged Father to battle of wits would naturally grow tired of losing. Every game starts the same. Each player has the same pieces, the same moves, the same options. It's a true test of wit, strategy, and forethought. To me, it always seemed too boring, too fair. The smarter players wins every time. And that is something you take fault with. Of course, how's a guy like me supposed to win a game like that? One chair knocked over, probably where David was sitting, and one chair pulled out, a party of two. He never cared much for socializing, but he enjoyed hosting. Contradictory guy. Better take a closer look. What's this? Rose River whiskey, 12 years old. You recognize it? Sure, he was more than partial to the brand. It's a good brand, only a bit overpriced, which is the bargain of a lifetime in David's world. It appears that the police have already tested its contents. No foreign matter present, was their conclusion. Is it possible that the police missed the poison? No, even if they can't identify the poison, they can detect its presence by comparing samples of the whiskey to a bottle of the store shelf. So we can eliminate the possibility that the bottle of whiskey was poisoned. We'll have to find our smoking guns somewhere else. Spilled alcohol. The arc shows how it looked last night before it evaporated. No foreign substances in the puddle, it's clean. So does that mean wherever this spill came from must be clean as well? What, the cup? 2 cups, one empty, knocked over, and one mostly empty. These look cheap. Did his guests bring them? I've seen them before, in the basement liquor cabinet. He keeps these lying around. I knew he regifted those crystal glasses I got him. Ark says there's nothing foreign in the upright one, so it can't have been poisoned. Results are inconclusive on the other cup, however. Looks bone dry, must have been nothing but fumes left by the time this was considered a crime scene, just not enough there for them to test. Inconclusive could mean... Inconclusive means inconclusive, that's all. Cheer up and read me the results of the fingerprinting. Father's prints are on both cups, as expected. But there are someone else's on the upright cup, so someone else must have been with him last night. Slow down. All that proves is that someone else touched the cup, doesn't tell us when they did it. And since we don't know who the prints belong to... Adonai, why don't we know who the prints belong to? Are these prints flagged as unidentified, or...? No, there's space for a name, but the field is black. Oh, is that so? Shit, am I already that late to the action? Detective Reyes. Yeah? There's a second set of prints on the cups. Is there a form you'd like me to sign? Doesn't matter how nicely you ask, sometimes people just can't answer. You should know that damn well, Madam Counselor. I was afraid you'd say that. I don't understand, Adonai. What does this mean? It means that whoever those prints belong to has very proactive representation. Those prints belong to a witness, as you've guessed. You're more than welcome to their testimony. But their identity is... The department is very considerate of the witness's privacy out of respect for their time and appreciation for their cooperation. Fine, forget the name. That easily? Subpoenas are always an option, but I'm short on time, so let's check really quick. Oh, thank you. A legal order issued by the state on behalf of the prosecutions or the defense that compels the addressed party to give testimony, provide information, or turn over evidence. Failure to comply with a subpoena will result in being charged with contempt of court. What did the witness have to say for themselves, detective? To paraphrase, they came to see Dr. Asher last night. The two of them talked and they had a drink together. Then the doctor got sick, so they activated the emergency system from the panel in the kitchen. The EMTs came and took them both to the hospital. Asher's condition got worse. All of the witness's vitals were normal. The witness had their vitals taken. Then there should be a record of their admission at Gatesfield. And that's it. I'm guessing you didn't just take all of that on faith. Penumbra's set up in most of the rooms on this floor. Everything the witness told us was corroborated by the building's own surveillance system. So yes, we can guarantee that the witness never put anything into Asher's drink. I'm guessing that I can't have the keys to the penumbra, can I? Not until the witness's lawyers are done reviewing it. Hey, oh, hello. How are you doing? How are you doing? Welcome, welcome. We started just a bit ago. We're investigating the crime scene. And while I'm at it, let's take a sip. How's your Saturday going? It's raining, pouring. Good, thank you. And you? I'm having a great time too. In the morning, I went to go cut my hair finally, and I went to have lunch with my sisters. So, a good Saturday so far. Lawyers, plural? I don't have the time to trade jobs with the law offices of Johnson, Johnson, Johnson & Johnson. Say, how about I give you their business card? The law offices of Cultured Gustav, Prince and Prince. I was close. No way I'll be getting any client information out of them directly. If all you bloodsuckers want to get together and tear each other apart, text me before you start. I'd like to watch. Yeah, I bet you'll like to watch. What does that even mean? I don't know. Needed a moment to think. Look at her face. So that was it. One chat, one peek at the cams, and you've already eliminated them as a suspect? Look. They were searched. They didn't have any poison, any drugs, not even a stick of a gun. A gum. Whoops. Even if they somehow did have poison on them, the camera footage confirms they had no opportunity to use it. They drank from the same bottle as a dead man. As far as the department's concerned, they were nearly the second victim. But they aren't dead or even ill from the sound of things. So you think he poisoned his own cup beforehand, then poured for the both of them from a safe bottle? That's what the evidence is telling us. There's nothing in the bottle or the witness's cup. Let me just adjust my headphones. Okay. But after drinking from his cup, a cup he prepared himself, he felt ill and the witness didn't. And Asher died with a foreign substance in his body. An identified foreign substance. Suicide by poison. I get that you were close and simple explanations aren't all that satisfying, but that's life. One last thing. You just said he prepared his cup himself. Did you see that on camera? He left the parlor to get the drinks and came back with his already poured. The witness says he got them from the basement. The witness says that, not the cameras. There's no cams in the lab or the basement. That seems like a security hazard. Why would Noble not set things up more carefully? It's intentional. If cams of his lab ever got hacked, outside of the facility's IP and kicked Noble's monopoly to the curb. Right. David did complain about Noble's weird protocols for combating corporate espionage. At least we can take comfort in knowing that Father wasn't alone when he died. Yeah, that's worth investigating. What's this? Password locked, but already cracked by the police, it seems. All the docs were taken. We're take home. What? We're take home safe. Nothing spicy. When was it last used? 7:48 p.m. Still reading work emails only a few minutes before he committed suicide? Morbid. There's a lot of messages marked priority that better come their way back to an article. Warm android blood saved soldier's life. Oh, we see this. In a stunning and heroic episode of one of our nation's brave soldiers had their life saved by a noble android, and in a way that no other competitor's product could. A brave private, name withheld, was wounded during a military operation whose exact nature and location is currently classified. Bleeding badly and far away from the nearest triage section, he was carried to safety by his fellow freedom fighter, an Animate 16 enforcer, one of the few warm androids being currently tested out by the armed forces. But the android didn't just sit there and wait for evac. It opened up its arteries and pumped life-saving UD, or universal donor, synthetic plasma into the young man's veins, stabilizing him long enough for him to reach a military hospital. I have no doubt he'd be dead if there was no other android fighting alongside him, said one commanding officer who asked not to be named. I always thought Noble was good at making ads that look good. Now I know they've got something inside that no one else can compete with. The story brings a well-deserved shot in the arm to Noble's stock prices and market share. With this heroic moment, Noble's warm androids have proven themselves to be worth their price tag, and that some people in the capital are paying attention. It's certainly an interesting idea, Senator Mathing said when asked about committing to a military contract for Noble to provide the armed forces with warm models. This story's got people talking. If we just ignored our constituent feelings on the matter, we'd be neglecting our duty as politicians, and I know none of my peers would ever try to put a price on the life of one of our soldiers. While additional details about the incident have remained closely guarded, the net is already ablaze with talk of, oh damn, you're not logged into this device. Why don't you pop your user details down below and enable crumbs so you can get the user experience, blah, 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 blah. Okay. This is that article that I've seen going around. But why would Noble have marked as priority? Starling said they weren't in any rush to pat each other on the back over it, even though they've won themselves a real prize. Easy PR. Okay. Because they only said it would be worth looking into, not definitive. It's a nice fat bump in the PR for Noble, one of their ads saving a soldier's life. Except they weren't really struggling with popularity to begin with. Okay, yeah, you're right. Guess more good press never hurts. It was a military contract. Anything else I can check that for that? Okay. It says here that when the medics arrived, he was on the floor, face up. Does that tell you something? Oh my god, she's copying her. Hey, if you were going to drink a glass of poison, would you be sitting or standing when you did it? I find it very difficult to speculate on that hypothetical scenario. The seat by his body is pulled out. If he was seated when he lost consciousness, I would expect him to find him slumped over on the table. But he wasn't found slumped over. No, he wasn't. And if he had been standing when he lost consciousness, I would think he would have fallen forward, or at least collapsed less neatly. So what can you conclude from that, Adonai? Only that I'm missing something. Checked. Oh, RT? Auto find? Oh, thank you. Police androids is monitoring the scene. Could almost mistake them for the real thing. the way they stand trying to look important. Like an indoor dog taking its first trip to the park. Pardon? Why are you looking at it if you've never seen an android before? Oh, like you've never seen. Because I haven't, in person. David didn't even let you have a mirror? Brutal. Just scan his GIN if you're that curious. Unless it's considered too forward or whatever. Seems like that's everything critical on this side of the room, which leaves the kitchen. You said there's camera footage on the dining room showing David and his guest. What about in here? Only camera in the kitchen is the one mounted on the call terminal. The console took a snap image when the witness ran in to contact emergency services. May I see it? Not unless you scrape the witness's face off the pig first. Don't tempt me. This is where the emergency call was made. What time did the call go out? 8:04 p.m. Before you ask, the witness left the parlor at 8:03. Not enough time for them to alter the scene. I wasn't going to ask that. When did the medics arrive? 8:08 p.m., remember? Hell of a response time for a penthouse. Private EMS came by air? Yeah, they let her on the VTOL pad you saw outside. Took him to Gatesfield. The very best if you can afford it. Looking around here, seems like he could afford a lot. He got his insurance through his employer, just like most people. Caduceus' executive plan 4 isn't like most people, counselor. He had executive level? Not like most people at all. Messy workspaces, but a pristine kitchen. David was a good cook, but only for others. Unless he had a guest, he'd happily eat instant ramen and protein bars for all 3 meals, or 2, or 1. No signs of food prep to be found, not so much as a cheese board. So whoever this guest was, they must have shown up unannounced. 3 unwashed dishes and a single glass. Reyes, these dishes haven't been scanned for prints yet. And I just assumed you might want to do your job. Yeah, there are prints. Most match the victim. But there's also, Hey! Don't sneak up on me like that. All I did was walk over to you. You knocked over the salt, hadn't I? I was focused on the task at hand. Didn't realize tunnel vision was a selling point on your mod. Hadn't I? The salt. As I was saying, the witnesses' prints are on that glass. That glass in the sink? They were drinking from cups in the parlor. Did you see a glass on camera? No. So when did they touch this glass? You need to toss it over your shoulder. She's talking about the salt. Witness must have thought about giving the guy some water, but he would have just choked on it if they have tried. What, do you think this glass was a murder weapon? It's bad luck, Ivan. I whacked him on the back of the head so fast it went between video frames. That's genius. You should go through the footage frame by frame to prove your theory. Mature. It's bad luck. What you been going on about? The salt? Shouldn't a machine be above petty superstition? It's not a superstition, it's ancient wisdom. Give me one logical reason to care then. If too much salt spills onto your food, it'll make you gag. Maybe it's on me for setting the bar too low there. David's fridge. Normally I wouldn't go poking in the pantry at a crime scene, but this was a poisoning. Some white wine chilling in the drawer, some real cheap liquor stuffed in the icebox. Old habits. Reyes, you said he left the parlor and came back with that whiskey from the basement? Huh? That's what the cams show, yeah. There's plenty to drink right here, and unlike the cabinet downstairs, it's actually cold. He must have wanted Rose River in particular. What's that look for? You hungry? I am an android. I do not get hungry. Are you being sarcastic? Only mostly. I thought you said you required organic nourishment. I do ingest organic substance, but that doesn't mean that I experience hunger as you do. So when you don't ingest organic substances for a long time, I become tired. What a great feature. And when I'm done digesting, I don't need to know. You've now had the chance to survey the crime scene. Yeah. So do you think you know what happened? Detective, is his body still at the hospital morgue? Yeah, he's at Gatesfield, along with a 100 noble megs who've all called dibs. Then I'll just have to cut in the line. Sarah, get me a ride to Gatesfield Memorial. What? You can do that, can't you? I can, but I need your payment information to get started. Yeah, okay. Understood. On my way down. Got it? Sync complete. Set pickup for 10 minutes should be plenty. The crowd out there seems to have gotten quite large. 10 minutes to reach the pickup spot may be an ambitious target, I don't know. How bad can it be? 12:21 p.m. As I approach the lobby's exit, the building's soundproofing begins to fail. The crowd has gotten bigger, but there's something else happening out there. The energy is not panicked yet, but it's creeping up on the tipping point. Are these many people pissed at Noble for selling androids? The hell's got them all so excited? Adonai? What does that symbol mean? In this rabble, probably something vulgar. Which one? That heart with a bullet hole. Is it not? It's me. Isn't that me? I don't know. It's probably nothing. Yeah, it is me. Based on net association, it appears to be a symbol for the heartbreak killer. That doesn't make any goddamn sense. Why would that freak have a symbol, or a following, or whatever these people are? And why the hell would they be outside David Asher's apartment? That wide-eyed man. Because Noble's trying to cover up the truth. They are? Those megs in there are scrambling to shred every document they can. We need to stick together, form a perimeter, and try and catch them when they go dump the scraps. Sarah, what are you hoping to find? Proof that Asher was skilled for trying to blow the whistle. Blow the whistle on heartbreak? Noble doesn't want the world to know that A16 is sentient. Oh, that's it. Noble doesn't want the world to know that A16 is sentient and homicidal. You think that Heartbreak's an android? You think whoever did that, all that was human? Noble's advanced prototype went amok and started killing. Started killing random people? Don't be a lamb, it only looks random. There's a clear pattern as long as you're smart enough to see past the bullshit. Oh, okay. And how does one see past the bullshit? Stop engaging. Smart kid, she gets it. She's asking the right questions. What the hell are you talking about? No way the victims aren't related. It's gotta be deniable ops. They must all have gone in DO together before getting their records bleached. Then as soon as they outlived their usefulness... What are you, nuts? Everyone knows the first 6 HK got were the 6 prototypes that came before him. One android so perfect no one can tell the difference. A bullet to the heart's the only way you could kill those over-engineered pricks. Everyone's got a goddamn opinion. I see. Stop seeing, start moving. These people are insane. Why don't you eat some more corn slop, asshole? You think you can beat the cyberpunk without ever thinking for yourself? You think it's a coincidence victim number 6 was working on hardcore crops? They're putting something in the food. Those people, heartbreak. This is a goddamn embarrassment. The hell am I paying taxes for if the state can shut this shit down? What about you, Adonai? What do you think about this heartbreak figure? They're just a murderer. Should be caught and sentenced like any other murderer. But they have some reason for doing such terrible things. Aren't you curious? Why? Are some reasons for committing murder better than others? They might have experienced trauma or abuse. They might have. Millions of people experience trauma and abuse every day. Millions. And yet, there's only one heartbreak. So you think they were just born that way? No. That's my guess. That's unsatisfying. Sad. I don't see why it would be. If heartbreak was born like that, they never had a chance to be anything else. If heartbreak was born like that, then none of us normal people would have to worry about turning out like them. That kind of predestination, it means they never have to take responsibility for what they are. The state can make them take responsibility. As soon as they catch them. You make it sound so trivial. They're a very dangerous serial killer. Just a serial killer. Just? If HK shoots someone Rewind. If HK shot someone every day, it would take them 1,132 years and about 11 months. In order to have killed 413,789 people. You did that in your head? I'm good at mental math. You counted the leap years. But what is the significance of that number? That's within 18 months of the Blakeford industrial disaster. Times that number by 2 for the injuries, tack on another 183% for the birth defects. 413,000 dead, and there wasn't anything evil about it. Just human error, some shoddy wielding, and time. So you think their heartbreak is nothing by comparison? Okay, hold on. What's that Blakeford disaster? Congestion ahead. We're currently limiting traffic related to this particular search due to a large number of edits coming in from net addresses outside country borders. We're proud to fight alongside in conveying this information by I can't even read. I can't even read what's it about. We have a lot of evidence. Perhaps that is a problem then. If they're nothing, if they represent nothing, then they can't stand for whatever the crowd wants them to. Please make way. Officials are coming through. Please disperse. Keep walking, pigs! Fascists! No balloons, the cops! Oh, there's one. Oh my god, look at them! Only the cops, they're building the factories. Very funny. Why are we tolerating this shit? You want me to wait in the crowd with a nightstick, prove them wrong? You know what I mean. We're the only people in the city trying to do some goddamn good, and that's just part of our job, detective. No offense, man, but wearing a police badge earns you a little more hate than... Do they give you prosecutor badges? I have an ID for the parking garage. Does that count? Depends. Do you ever hesitate to wear it on the open? Oh my god, the two sides. This moral relativism of yours seems like a strange philosophy for someone in your profession, Adonai. Breaking out the thesaurus for me. I'm only being realistic and humble. I'm just one woman, Sarah. Whatever I do, right or wrong, it's less than a % rounding error in the grand scheme of things. Do you tell that to your clients? No, but they come to appreciate it when I win. I don't mean cops in particular. The same deal applies to anyone who works in the state. The terms are stark, but the ink dried a long time ago, and we all agreed to them. I don't recall voting for it. Well, not voting is how these things come to pass, so we traded freedom for safety, individual rights for collective power. The state won, the citizens lost. Very least we can do is take their criticism head on. Look, I don't have a problem with the responsibilities of authority. Only with authority being challenged. But they treat us like we're the bad guys. Well, sometimes we are. Sometimes the law is wrong. So if any given individual is too small to ever affect change, so if the public's gonna hate us no matter what we do, and if corporations and governments will trample over the people the same regardless of the character, and if we can't even be sure we're doing the right thing, what do you do, Adonai? What the hell do we do? I think it's pretty simple. It's not as complicated as you think. In times like these, in a world like this, the only logical way to live is, the only moral way to act is, do whatever it takes to win. Oh my god, I love them. Look at him. Let me just take a sip. Soon enough, I'll have to pick this up. If I'm insignificant in the grand scheme of things, I can do my worst and no one will notice. If power is inherently evil, holding back won't save your soul. Just fight with both barrels, and trust the opposition to do the same. Winner takes all. (12:59 p.m. July 1st, 2086). Gatesfield Memorial Hospital. Oh, thank you, you're a lifesaver. And the next time the bridezilla texts you, just turn your phone off. Chatty guy, must have been due to go on break. When he tried and failed to find the witness's medical record, his datapad had the name blacked out. But I did see they have Kadusha's Executive 3, more expensive than David's, which means they most likely... How did you do that? She was just looking at me. You need to hold the button to get the doors to close faster. Mashing does nothing. Wait, really? Oh my god. That is not what I meant. There were many others who arrived before us. How did you get this down here so quickly? Well, I didn't do anything. It was the nurse who escorted us. Yes, but you managed to get a stranger like him to help you with so few words, so little information. I don't think you even gave him your name. Haven't you heard of the golden rule? Oh my god, arise. Of course I have. Treat others how you want to be treated. Wrong. Treat others how they would want to be treated. He wanted someone they could vent to. He wanted someone to pay attention to him. And he wanted to feel appreciated. Which meant he'd be eager to help given the chance. Even just reading someone's mood is quite difficult. Oh, hello, Brett. Thank you so much for the lurk. I hope you're having a good Saturday. How can you know another person wants to be treated? There are no mind readers. No one can even know anything about what anyone's thinking. Maybe not even themselves. Doesn't matter if they're a parent, your twin, your lover. It'll always be a gamble. That is not a very comforting sentiment. Well, I think it's fun. Only because you're good at it. How did you get good at it? Same as anything. Observation and practice. You must have been observing and practicing for a very long time then. So we proceed down to the hall, bear left, look for the fourth door. I'm gonna open the one that says morgue on it. Oh, hello. Oh, hey. Come on in, don't stand out there in the cold. Wouldn't be accurate. Sorry about the chill in here, but I run a little hot. Well, hi indeed, look at her. And you can see my roommates never complain. Yumi Sato, medical examiner. Dr. Sato, just the lady I wanted to see. Though I didn't expect that I'd get to. The fact that they've assigned a medical examiner and not some ad or junior means... Oh, you can just call me Yumi. And you're... Morgan. I represent the deceased. The deceased? Oh, the deceased. Asher D. Wait, really? That's weird. I thought his time slot was scheduled for a group of noble PR who... I know. Weird, right? Well, what the hell do I know? Who's getting tired of housing mags anyway? I gotta finish typing up this report before we talk shop. But in the meantime, feel free to make yourself at home. Okay, let me just warm up my drink here. I know last time I said 10 minutes or 5 minutes and I took like a long time, but I swear this will be fast. Just give me a second. Okay, I'm back. And I brought some cookies too. And I turned on the AC again. So I hope that the light won't go out. Because it's starting to get a little chilly. Welcome back, thank you. Also, I just went back to YouTube and I saw that we were halfway. But we're not halfway through the episode 1, by the way. That was halfway through part 1, and there's 3 parts. Yeah, it got cold really fast around here. It did. It's raining so much. But yeah, we still have a long... we still have much to explore. So wait, let me just readjust the headphones again. Okay. Okay, let's inspect. That's a lot of screens. There's got to be a diminishing returns on productivity. Why do you have so many monitors, ma'am? You can just ask someone that. Good question. Every quarter, when they do inventory and budgeting, they ask me if I need anything, and I never do, so I submit a blank form. Adjusting the blanket. But I guess a while back there was a +1 in a spreadsheet somewhere and no one's ever corrected it, and so boom, I get 4 new monitors every year. Let me just eat a cookie while we're at it. Motherfucker. We're good. The cookie fell on my blanket, but we saved it. We're good. Wait, shit, that's really good. Hold on. Okay. But 4 new monitors every year? Goddamn. Do you run out of things to use them for? Sometimes, but this year I've started running 2 drums at once when I'm doing rote work, which helps. Watching 2 television shows at the same time helps you do rote work? Helps me use up the screens. I see. What's this? The hospital's getting renamed? No, guess it's some other hospital that got snapped up. Hospital renamed to thank Icaria family. In a ribbon-cutting ceremony held uptown today, Plotter Memorial Hospital was formally renamed the Northeastern Icaria Medical Complex in recognition of the family's incredible generous donations over the last several years. It's the latest in a string of philanthropic efforts by the family to result in the name change after they paid for the renovations to the orchestra hall and the retrofitting of what used to be known as Scout Arena. But it wasn't so long ago that Icaria were better known for drawing blood than donating it. Back before the 50s, they had a fearsome reputation for cutthroat business practices, their business rivals going so far as to accuse them of involvement with organized crime. After the founding Renigen Medical of over 25 years ago and its subsequent sale, the Icaria have moved out of their business world and into the upper echelons of society that are sometimes mockingly referred to as the nobility. A generation of newly minted aristocrats born from the unique and chaotic economics of the mid-21st century and the Red Decade. When asked her opinion on those who'd label her family House Icaria at the hospital renaming ceremony, Renigen board member Mide Icaria had this to say. In this country, anyone can make a name for themselves so long as they're willing to put in the work. Mock new money all you want, but the truth is that success is all about reinventing yourself, and the only ones uncomfortable with that are, we're working hard to print out the rest of your article. Blah, 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 blah. The Icaria. Guess they weren't always in the same line of work. Now they're plastering their name wherever they get themselves a new image. All the nobility are eager to prop up their image wherever they can, but that must go double for the Acadians. Assuming the truth about their criminal past is anywhere close to the rumors. Are all these dead bodies? One would hope so. I only meant that I'm surprised to see them stored here. It suggests a backlog which suggests a higher murder rate than the public data would lead one to expect. Do you examine bodies for the police doctor? Oh, I wish. Nah, most of my job involves confirming COD on natural death for insurance adjustments. Insurers want to blame the mod for failing, mod makers want to blame the stiff for not exercising enough. Family says the company insurance plan would have to pay mods, but not a gym membership. Yeah, the wall over there is suspected defected, liver mods are suspected leaking internal bio batteries, suspected CCIC. Climate change induced complications. You can prove that climate change contributed to an otherwise natural death? Very, very rarely. If it can be proved, what does that mean for the family of the deceased? Plus or minus 14% on the life insurance payout. I mean, it's most of what I do. It's not that, and I don't dislike my job. It's just, so much of what I do just boils down to telling a bunch of cheapskates how to split the dead man's bill. It's enough to make homicide feel like a breath of fresh air. Is she finishing up over there? Right, okay, so what's up? Thanks for your time, Dr. Sato. My first question would be, what was the cause of death? Oh, hi there, cute android. I didn't even realize it was. Really cute. The skin that's remarkable. Even just looking close, you can tell they're really warm. She's shy. Still not quite human body temperature, but they've come a long way. The early gens all look flushed, felt like they were always running a fever. They ran like it too. Even 2 years ago, the average warm android only lasted. Sorry, but the circumstances surrounding this particular case call for expediency. Right. So what can I tell you? Cause of death. Were you able to determine the cause of death? Well, cause of death, sure, we got that much figured out at least. Why doesn't that sound particularly reassuring? Dr. Asher died of respiratory failure. Not enough oxygen in the blood, not enough blood going to the brain. Root cause being widespread depression of the central nervous system. What would the symptoms be? What would it have looked like? Lightheadedness followed by dizziness, then headaches, slurred speech, exhaustion, loss of consciousness, and finally, respiratory arrest. Report shows that the EMT tried intubation, then resuscitation through electrical stimulation repeatedly. By the time he got the emergency room, they were desperate enough to attempt direct artificial blood oxygenation, but it was too late. And you're certain of all this? Oh, well, most of it, sweetie. Most of it? Yeah, it's turned into quite the puzzle, and I'm used to having more pieces to start with. I was surprised a man as rich and famous as him didn't have any kind of biomes, but his files show he wasn't a viable candidate for modding. Yeah, that's right. Without that kind of first-hand tech, we don't have nearly as much data as we'd like. But he was extensively monitored from the moment the EMTs arrived. We're very certain about our conclusion. Did you find anything else unusual about his body in your examination? Cuts or bruises? No injection sites, nothing in any cavities. Nothing at all, huh? Talk screen. The police mentioned a talk screen? Yeah, that's the thing. They ran a talk screen when he first arrived, typical diagnostic intake procedure. Based on the emergency call, they figured he must have overdosed on something, but the talk screen gave them nothing. After he died, we performed the broadcast screenings possible. Nothing. So, were you forced to conclude this was a natural death? I didn't give up that easy. I took blood samples and compared their makeup with what was on record in his previous medical history, and I managed to isolate a single non-naturally occurring chemical compound that wasn't there before. What was it? Some exotic toxin from a different hemisphere? I wish. I run it through every available database and we have access to. And even a few I only sort of have access through some friends. Not only does it not match any known poison, it doesn't match the chemical makeup of any registered compound. So, a designer drug, huh? That seems to be the best explanation. What the hell did you do, David? You said it didn't match any registered compound. What about compounds that aren't registered? Those friends of yours, private sector folks? Yeah, in pharmaceuticals. If one of them patented a new compound, a new drug, what would keep its formula from going on record? In the private sector, intellectual piracy is the norm, so you're expected to protect your research aggressively. Patent first, find a use later? Yeah, a patent would have to be at least describe your compound in brief, but depending on what country you file in, I've heard it may be considered prudent to keep the actual chemical makeup off the record. Smart, using international IP laws as your own personal minefield. How so? Whenever you're ahead, patent as much as you can, as fast as you can, but bury the formula so no one knows where it's safe to walk. Anybody small and ambitious comes along, finds a new drug they're excited about, you flip your card, let them know you came up with the idea years ago. And that you'll give them death by 1,000 court dates if they so much as blink. Wouldn't work on anyone your size or bigger, they could punch back, but for the rest of the field? Wow, you corporate lawyers are scary. I'm not a corporate lawyer. So you came up with that strategy just now? So it's possible that this poison is actually a known substance, something the hospital could have easily identified? If it wasn't considered a trade secret, yes, unfortunately that is a possibility. Still, just because a drug is new, that doesn't mean it's original. Does the effect that this compound had remind you of any other drug? Maybe one that's prescription only, or a controlled substance? One you might know by another name but with a patent structure. Sorry, sweetheart, it's a general depressant. There are a lot of drugs that have that effect on the body, and they all come in all shapes and sizes from all kinds of places. If the effect was unremarkable, what about its strength? Could you estimate how much of this stuff he had in his body all told? Not precisely, no. Not without detailed knowledge on what its half-life. But I'd guess that it must have been about 20 milligrams. Is 20 milligrams a lot? Not for a medicine, so this wasn't just an overdose of something relatively harmless then. No, not if 20 mil was enough to crash his entire nervous system. Thank you, Yumi. Of course, so... You ready to view the body? We could skip it if we want. I know most people get squeamish around corpses. Yeah, that shouldn't be a problem. Okay then, let's get started. Let me take a sip. Alright, I'll just step out for a moment to give you some privacy. Yes, please, thank you. The last time we talked was on a Sunday. You were complaining, I remember that. It's the principle of the matter. Right, you had ordered this cheap piece of shit sculpture or something by mistake. And it came damaged, and you wanted to send it back for a refund. I gently reminded you how, with your salary, it was literally not worth your time. And I kindly offered to throw it out for you, since you're having so much trouble letting it go. You're only offering because you want to see how loud it sounds shattering at the bottom of my trash can. I denied it, even though you were right, and it was obvious. I should have let you have that one. I thought that it would look different. But it looks exactly the same as I remember. His skin is pale and he's very still. But his face is the same, his hair, his hands. You're expecting something more drastic? The last time I saw him, he was alive. He smiled and he told me you would see me soon. Now he's dead. Something is gone. And I can't find the difference. I'm trying to look harder, but I think I might just not be capable of it. And I wonder why. Why was I created to not be capable? Could be an issue of skill. Or maybe it's not something that can be seen, no matter how hard you look. But it's there, I guarantee it. I've seen the transition enough times to be sure that between life and death, the distinction has significance. To the dead, at the very least. You're going to smoke? Here? Now? I'll pay the fine. That's not the issue. Were you expecting me to fall to pieces? Real boys grieve in all kinds of ways, Pinocchio. And some don't grieve at all, it seems. I'm a cold woman, sorry to disappoint. The hell? Why the hell won't this thing light? Adonai. You have your cigarette backwards. Oh my god. Alright, that's back into the cold storage for him, so... Need anything else? Can you send me the chemical makeup of that compound you isolated? Sure, for what it's worth, let me just... It's got carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, hydrogen with hexagonal structures. So it's organic, but there's a number of metallic elements too. And if you had to speculate on this intended use based on what we know of its structure, well, it certainly acted like a depressant. Binding to receptor pathways and affecting the balance of neurotransmitter reuptake. Depressants are pretty rare in the designer drug scene. True, people are always looking for a higher high or crazier trip, but a more powerful depressant will just make you fall asleep. Not much need to hit up the gray market for that kind of experience. No, there's not. I see. Thanks again, you've been extremely helpful during a very difficult time. Hey, anything you need, give me a ring. That's very generous. Roxford's orders got me on call, so I'm already getting overtime for the whole weekend. Glad to hear it. Goodbye, Yumi. And goodbye to you, Greenie. My name's Sarah. Nice to meet you, Sarah. (2:13 p.m.) Up on ramps and down off ramps above skywalks and on the tram lines. The buildings get progressively more polished as we head into the most economically developed part of the city. Corporate territory, national headquarters for the likes of Howe Industries, Lokchon, TT's, Neath, each of them sheltering their own micro-city of employee accommodations beneath their skyscraper shadows. Whalefall, the entirety of the ocean's floor coming together to feast and grow and live off the fetid, rotting fat of the leviathans that swallow generations of people by the mouthful. Weight is commonly listed, and my weight is... Do I really have to disclose that? Noble laws claim to one of the largest shadows in the city, a towering nerve center for the whole nation's android industry. It's meant to be intimidating, I'm sure, but today I'm glad that Noble keeps such a sizable physical presence here. I need answers about David and his work on Sarah. Answers I never get browsing the company website or speaking to a representative. Synopsis, relationships. There are typically trivia sections as well. Should I start there? Noble will have their guard up, of course, but even that will tell me something. Where they let me walk, who they let me talk to. History. Their efforts are performative, transparency, and clumsy. Obfuscation will. How did you know my father? What? I'm sorry, did I interrupt your brooding? No. What did you ask? My father. I know you were his friend. But what was your relationship like? Can't you just scroll through our socials? Father avoided social media. And your online presence is not significant. You're saying I don't have enough followers? Essentially. We went to the same college. You studied programming? No, I studied all kinds of things as an undergrad, but not technology. Is that a good way to prepare for law school? I wasn't preparing for law school, or anything else really. David, though, he had talent, and he knew he wanted to do something with it. He studied programming, robotics, discrete math, cybernetics. What classes did you share then? Business ethics. I was the second best student in class, and he was the one who asked the most questions. Not sure about his actual ranking. He found the course challenging, and I clearly didn't, despite being younger. Guess he felt burned. He'd come up to me after class to argue, and sometimes to ask for help. Others always talked about socializing like it was a chore. It was kind of you to give him a chance. What, like I was some kind of social butterfly, the belle of the ball? You weren't? One Sunday night, he knocked on my door all panicked, saying he was in a bad shape for this tech course. There was a midterm or something the next day. I couldn't make heads or tails of the material, but I did my best to at least quiz him. He wasn't satisfied though, wanted to cram the rest of the night. Father had to cram for an undergraduate midterm? Did I say something scandalous? He's been called the founder of modern programming. Yeah, well, even the founder types can have poor time management when they're 21. He was already fried by that point. Wasn't hard to tell what he was really asking for. So I went and stole a study aid for him. You stole a controlled substance just to help him study? No, that'd be insane. No, I just pocketed some breath mints from the common room. Told him to pinch his nose and swallow fast because the taste is so strong. You gave him a placebo. He already knew the content as good as he ever would. What he needed was to sleep. He could barely keep his eyes open by the time I got back from my daring heist. Didn't take much convincing for him to rest his eyes just until it kicked in. And the test? B+, I think. I was surprised that Father stayed close with you after that. You stole and lied to him. I stole and lied for him. And David understood that. He was good at understanding things without me having to spell them out. But I guess that's not the kind of thing that gets passed down through programming. Anyway, we kept in touch after that. First year of grad school, we published this paper. The Turing Solution, a framework for programming adaptive linguistic heuristics. One of his advisors came up with that title. David thought it was too cocky, but it still hasn't failed any known Turing tests in the years since. I can relate? Oh yeah. Don't act like you're the one who deserves credit for it. He called me one weekend, asking for advice on how to handle all the attention. Job offers, interviews, apprenticeships, invitations to immigrate. What did you tell him? I don't remember telling him anything, actually. A lot of our conversations went like that. He would talk to me about whatever personal or professional problem he was stuck in his head that day, and I would nod while he wore himself out. And at the end of the conversation, he'd thank me, even though I hadn't offered a single word of advice. He took Noble's offer, and they took over his education, paid him to work on his master's during the day and attend corporate training at night. And whatever else Noble may be, they were smart enough to start listening to him early. You are referring to his one-point doctrine. Quality over quantity. Simple and elegant, just like his code. simple and elegant, but anathema to a global corporation with supply chains designed for maximum capacity and just-in-time manufacturing. But obviously they got over their distaste fast enough. In the span of a few years, Noble's gone from making manual labor ads for meager profit to being the world leader in intelligence as a service. Even as he was making money hand over fist, he still kept in contact with a nobody like me. I moved to the city for my apprenticeship. He helped me put down a payment on my apartment. Then made up excuses as to why he couldn't help me move boxes. So is that enough detail for you? Thoroughly convinced that he and I were in fact friends? I am. But Adonai, the favor you owe him, what was it for? That's private, understand? I have zero interest in talking about it with you. Say you understand. I understand, Adonai. We will be arriving shortly. Shall I send word ahead? Just tell him that David's lawyer's here. And let me take another sip really quick. 2:49 p.m. July 1st. Ooh. Noble Electronics Northeastern HQ. Sub-lobby A8. Hold on. One more. All this talking is having my throat parched. I've been here before. Sat right here in this lobby waiting for David to come and treat me to lunch. At least I think it was this lobby. Could have been some other floor. Could have been an entirely different building. All these corporate towers of Babel feel like interchangeable fractals to me, folding in on themselves in patterns of narcissistic paranoia. So monumental in the scale of their hubris that needed to use non-Euclidean geometry when drawing up the blueprints. The greatest mind of each generation coming together, just to find the most expensive way to shove their heads up their asses. Adonai, is something bothering you? Just doing the math on how long we'll be kept waiting here. Apparently, someone will be here shortly. So maybe if I pass the time by glaring around the place, it'll improve my mood. So much energy, so many people, all so intent. You kidding? It's Saturday. The place is half empty. But doesn't everyone work on Saturdays? All the parents do, so I don't need to find childcare on Sunday. Everyone else flips a coin, I guess. All these people for 12 hours a day, 6 days a week? What could they all possibly be doing? Making work for themselves. You can be very cynical, can't you? Yeah, I'm terrible. But that guy over there just been jiggling his cursor for the last 20 seconds. They changed the logo again. Noble Electronics. How's it feel stepping in here? Is this some kind of religious experience for you? It's just a corporation where my father worked. Careful now, or they'll burn you for heresy against the company. You said it again, the company, as if it's a proper noun. You're mimicking the employees, aren't you? So it can't obey simple orders, but it can't pick up on that? It is just a part of the corporate culture? Noble's one of the biggest corporations there is, one of the biggest there's ever been. We mere humans can't cope to escape the gravity of anything that size, no matter where you live or how far off the grid you think you are. So imagine what it's like working for them. You live in company dorms, work in company quarters. Wherever you go, that logo's above your head. You eat, sleep, and breathe on Noble's timetable, at its discretion. When you spend your whole life inside of it, Noble must feel big enough to be the only company there is. To think this is only one room. This complex is so massive that it doesn't even feel man-made. It's like it was carved out of the rock by waves, like it's always been here. That's the con. If this place was actually natural, there'd be birds everywhere. I hadn't considered that. Why aren't there birds in here? Probably because of what they do to the ones that get in. I'm kidding. Though I don't have a better explanation. Whoever comes to greet us better have a pulse and some goddamn authority. My mood started to sour, and if they just send me the first link to the infinite chain of corporate bureaucracy, I'll just make them wish. Morgan? That's me. Hey there. Android Manufacturing Quality Control, Eastern Division. Even Dawes. What voice am I gonna give him? He looks so tired. Let me take another sip. Even Dawes, he says, like it's an afterthought. Work to the bone for real, like for sure. What's a name compared to your place in the hierarchy? You seem familiar. Have you? I'm David's lawyer. Oh, then we must have. Apologies. Let me first just say how sorry I am about his passing. You and everyone else at the company must be going through a lot right now. As if it's a proper noun. Thank you for taking the time to meet with me. You're welcome, but it's no big deal. Everyone's on the razor today, but what else is new? And compared to PR or legal right now, our workloads in QA are... Never mind. How can I assist you? Shortly before his passing, Dr. Asher began the process of registering this android. Yes, that's correct. Unfortunately, he wasn't able to finish the job. Look at that. It's definitely custom. Gee, you think? Good thing I sought out an expert. Or, it goes without saying, reminds me of the A16 Premiere, if anything. The barcode is clearly printed, no visible defects. But you're right, it doesn't correspond to anything we've got on file. Well, they sent you the right man for the job. Now we just need to get the right place. Not far, I hope. It's in the building. In the building? That could mean anything from down the hall to half a day's hike. The productions line on B9 should have everything we need. You do manufacturing inside your corporate headquarters? B9 is a fully functional production floor, but it was only built for demonstrative purposes. New clients make deals upstairs about how many and in what shape or size when they come down to the basement to see how the sausage is made. They have enough money to build a fake factory just for guests. Smart. So as long as you're only giving tours and not giving away company secrets. No need to worry about that. We take intellectual security very seriously around here. No kidding, there are 11 cameras on us at the moment that I can see. And who knows how many pairs of modded eyes are aimed our way. Clearly, nothing happens here without the almighty company knowing about it. So if they try to claim ignorance about anything, it's gonna piss me off. Lead the way. (308) Noble Electronics Northeastern HQ, basement floor 9. Oh wow, it really is furnished down here. I don't want to take up too much of your time, but it's pretty rare to get to see all this in person, you know? Would you mind terribly if I looked around for a moment? No problem, I just got some prelim work I need to handle anyway, so have at it. I better take full advantage. I'll need more than cursory knowledge if I want to figure out where Sarah came from and why David wanted me to. Take custody. I'm gonna look around. You stay put in the meantime. Adonai? We'll want to lose you among the rest of the merchandise. What's being built up there? Our top of the line brand new bestseller, the Animate 16 Warm. Looks kinda cold out there. We keep the factory floor refrigerated. Slows the organics already tuned in metabolic activity to a minimum. That explains why the room doesn't smell like rotting flesh. The flesh out there is only somewhat rotting. Slowly. I just meant I'm surprised to see metal. Oh well. All of the A16s have alloy endoskeletons. The organics are layered on later in the process. Sounds like what Sarah told me about herself. Maybe she really was an A16's prototype. But it's hard to imagine bridging the gap between her and these scattered doll parts. I get that you can grow just about anything from lax Gemini, but how do you get synthetic and organic to work together? Yeah, that was our first concern when R&D began work on the warm concept. The 1.0s were really skin with synthetic muscle, and it was a horror show. Metal pulling on skin was just... right. For 2.0, they worked backwards. Organic muscles, organic skin. But digital signals on organic hardware was a dead end. Didn't the muscles flex when you press an electric current through them? They flex and unflex, sure, but that's not nearly precise enough for our facial expressions. Look like puppets strung on live wires. We used the test footage to hasten turns, actually. You must have figured something out. The A16 wouldn't look out of place on the runway. Thank you, we try. We ended up reaching out to mod companies. Well, we actually just bought about half a dozen of them, but... right. They figured out how to get human nervous system moving mechanical limbs decades ago. So we just needed to get a mechanical nervous system to move. Living limbs. Very clumsy attempt to avoid using the word human. What if Dr. David Asher just wanted to become a droid? How about that? High precision mods are slaughtered straight into the nervous system. They receive their input from neurotransmitters, not bioelectricity. So you had to do the opposite. Exactly. We created a synthetic neurotransmitter that our androids could use to communicate with organic flesh. Oh my god. Where did that breakthrough come from, Dr. Asher? Partly. He led the team that built the motor neurons in this analogy. They carry commands from the central nervous OS to individual muscles across the chassis. But the serotonin... sorry, the synthetic analog serotonin. That was actually an old brainchild from the VP of Android's future, Helen Young. Young? Hasn't David mentioned a Dr. Young before? Sounds impressive. She's one hell of a biochemist. Or she was, I guess. Not much time for individual lab work when you get to her kind of pay grade. So Young collaborated with David on the technology that enabled warmed androids. As I thought, whatever went to Sarah that make the androids so distinct, he couldn't have taken sole credit for it. Young. Did he partner with her on this? This seems to share some components with that coffin Sarah was napping in. If DAWS is quality assurance, is it some kind of android calibration device? It's probably what he'll use to register Sarah. Looks a little... Is Sarah tall enough for you to recognize her? There's something out there that caught my eye when we came in. A very familiar shade of crimson. If I squint through the glass out on the floor, there are temperature-controlled fluid tanks. Through glass and plastic flows an eye-catching scarlet that transitions into... So you add the blood towards the end. You meant the oxidant? Yeah, relatively late in the process. Something out of place. Androids have blood, even if it's not officially labeled as such, but it isn't red, it's pink. Sometimes milky, sometimes neon, occasionally garish, but pink. I just didn't think the oxidant would be red. Oh, right, sorry, I barely noticed it at this point. The color is natural, comes from the biomanufacturing process. That chromofuge out there removes the byproducts, the waste, the excess pigment, changing it from blood red to psychopomp pink. Without that, the chromofuge, our android's flesh would come out looking at all the wrong colors. That may be true. It probably isn't, but it may be. But I have a simpler explanation. Blood is primal. The sight of it carries weight. They change the color of the product's blood so that when an android gets bottle broken against his face, no one bats an eye. An inhaler left out on top of the desk. Probably a half dozen empty ones in one of the drawers. DOS, the inhalers are distributed by the company, correct? Oh, yeah. HR handles it. They personalize your doses and prescription and update it based on performance and job fulfillment reviews. Other corporations do it the same way? Yeah, pretty much. Everyone's trying to keep pace with each other, so can't have your employee losing focus on the job. Costs you who knows how much in lost efficiency. Sorry if this is sensitive, but given what happened to David, are overdoses common in the company? Yeah. Really? Yeah, he says. Overdoses, that is, not hospitalizations or deaths. It's all pretty organized these days. These days? Man, back when I started consulting, pretty much everyone had an embarrassing story from their first 2 years where they pooped a few too many greens and missed the on-ramp. That's not pooped, it's popped, I'm sorry. Popped greens? Yeah, used to be pills. Green to get you going, yellow to keep you there. Swallow a red one after brushing your teeth and get into your bunk fast. But yeah, all the inhalers are a huge improvement, like going from torch to the light bulb. They sync straight to your personal biomes and adjust doses in real time. Overdoses are way down. That's great to hear. The trainees under me don't realize how good they got it. Kids probably won't even have to learn how to purge. Yeah, I know, right? Purge in what sense? The act of emptying one's stomach contents by inducing vomit, triggering the gag reflex, or using laxatives to simulate a bowel movement. Okay, I see. I love that they have this little dictionary. Feels like I've seen this before. Join us, we have great care packages, dental plans, and ODs. But now it's more managed, don't worry. That's right, there was one in David's lab. That's a nano-grade elementary manufactured nanofactory for sure. Real high quality piece of machinery. Each of them built in-house by Randrock Mechanics. What does it do? Nano-level flash fab. Okay, this is a method of manufacturing artificial microscopic compounds that utilizes parallel nesting to assemble billions of simple structures in minutes or even seconds. That feels like a lot. Nanomachines have been around for the better part of the century, but the time and resources required for their construction through traditional means was historically prohibitively expensive, limiting exploration of limiting exploration and limiting exploration of and investment in nanotech. Thank you. In the years since flash fabrication's introduction, use and demands for nanomachines has exploded, and scientists, doctors, and product designers have found brand new niche for them across every industry. Concern about the ecological impact of this surge in nanomachine constructions have been raised, though the official stance of the nanolife industry lobbying group has remained unwavering. Nothing that small can possibly leave that big of an ecological footprint. Basically a 3D printer for nanomachines. You build nanomachines in your factories for use in your androids. The raw materials are cheap, literally elementary, so no sense in getting them chipped in. It's mostly the medical models that make use of them. Inject a couple of thousand nanites into a patient's bloodstream, run diagnostics, and provide a solution. A 3D printer for nanomachines. So what kind of ink does it use? Silicon, hydrogen, oxygen, carbon, building blocks. They feed into the nanoprinter and it assembles the machines particle by particle. Like a ribosome. Oh. 1 second, I have a call. 1 second. Fucking telemarketers, am I right? Anyway. Like a ribosome building structurally complex proteins out of chemically simple nucleic acids. Must be time consuming. You would think, but Renadoc cracked the code on parallel micromanufacturing. The inside's crystalline, sprawling like an ant's nest. Raw materials enter at one point of 1,000 for different entry points, combining and recombining at intersections. During the weekend, I would just start ignoring the unknown numbers. Like, I thought it would be the mailman or something, because I do have some packages coming up, but I didn't get any messages or something, but just in case, I picked it up. But yeah, fucking telemarketers. Because like some mail companies do work on Saturdays. The finished product ends up at the center and drips out in a liquid solution. Distilled nectar swimming with millions of nanites in just 2 minutes. Nectar? It's sticky? It can be, depending on the desired output, but the door vacuum seals while it's cooking, so don't worry. It's completely spill-proof. What a relief. Not exactly a box of paper clips David could just have brought home from the office one day. He must have bought his own for some reason. What have we got on this data pad? Some kind of write-up? On the subject of Sullivan's Peak, much of our world today, and in fact much of our world's economy, is heavily influenced by the uncanny valley. The thought experiment provides a simple and easily applied explanation for the gaps we see in the otherwise wide spectrum of automated dependence that exists in nearly every industry on the planet. There's a very simple primal truth to it. We like the things that resemble the living, like cartoons and puppets and toys, and we like the things that are damn near indistinguishable from living, like whatever names Noble's latest products are being sold under. But there are deep, deep trenches between those two ends, where products are universally appalling to human sensibility. The uncanny valley will no doubt remain a useful tool for teaching, marketing, and design for generations to come. But already we are seeing ways in which it fails. It is becoming increasingly clear to us that the space between nearly indistinguishable and truly indistinguishable is much wider than we ever suspected, and it may not be the only part of the map that we must fear. I propose we bridge these gaps in knowledge by looking to the speculative fiction of Robert J. Sullivan, who in his most well-known work, Equal Under One Sky, described a concept which thereafter has been called Sullivan's Peak. Through the lens of his characters and their so very divided world, Sullivan demonstrated that the uncanny valley does in fact have its own peak on the other side, a point past which making an artificial existence any more human in its features serves only to make the user experience more uncomfortable, more difficult, and more fraught with moral pitfalls. Once you reach Sullivan's peak, traveling any further only has diminishing returns. The implications of this idea are far-reaching. We will have very soon reached a point at which the designers of ads can only make their creations less lifelike or less likable, a hard stopping point for technological progress. That's basically it. Surprised to find reading material like that around here. Were they passing it around as a gag? Or are they actually afraid of Sullivan's peak around here? Noble must be. Wary of it. If the peak does exist, they'll be coming in on fast now that androids are warm. Noble's entire product line, maybe their entire industry, could go bottoms up if people start to think it's cruel. If Sarah has any indications of where their androids are headed, I could see some people getting uncomfortable. All done? You ready to get the ad handled? Thanks for humoring me. Can you have it step in the scanner? As he says. Understood. Right then, what are we looking at here? Whoa. There's a lot to unpack here. We theorize that it may have been Asher's pincushion. A pincushion, huh? That would explain some of what I'm reading here. What language is that on screen? Tess. You know Tesseract? All Noble products and, well, pretty much all products period are programmed with Tess. Easy to read and write, stay compliant. Now this model, what's it go by? Sarah. This Sarah model. It's got everything in the 16 line has, that's for sure. Organic skin, hybrid muscles, advanced facial processing, and emoting. But there's a lot crammed in here that's still in development. Like in the idea phases. Solar cell hand strands, decentralized redundant power, mental and physical overclocking with extended tolerances. Data storage so large I can... No, wow, he had to measure it using... Hell of a poker face. Wait, decryption and signal hijacking? That's... hacking? Essentially. Does that mean it could hack it to its own tenets? Oh, no, that's unthinkable, literally, for an ad. For an ad to break its tenets would be like you stepping into traffic or dropping a baby. Even if you're physically capable of it, it's not something you would ever choose to do. Some people do walk into traffic. Psychotics, addicts, the mentally ill. Does that mean that there are androids? Well, no, there aren't crazy androids, so yeah. I guess my analogy doesn't add up. That's okay. So, it can't hack itself, but it was given the ability to hack other systems. The industry line is that such of a capability could be an option in certain emergency scenarios. Breaking through the firewalls and encryption of surrounding electronics to broadcast directly to police or military channels. Speaking of military, this musculoskeleton setup is drastic. I've never seen this on a consumer model. Can you lift a car or something, Sarah? Most cars, it would depend on the center of gravity. Lady, this Sarah could wrestle a public disturbance walker and come out on top. Those stomping behemoths they bring out for riot suppression. And in terms of computational ability, the estimate says that can't be right. Look up DAWs. I was actually hoping you could tell me something about the software or the metadata. Who worked on it and when? Ah, right, okay. Well, that's unfortunate. The editing logs have been purged. That doesn't sound very above the board. Sorry, I can't tell you anything about who worked on Sarah or when. Any chances you can restore those logs? Not here, not with this machine. I need the computers that were actually used for programming this model. Any ideas where those would be? Sarah? I cannot answer that question with any accuracy. Had a feeling you might say that. Ads, right? Sorry, I can tell you that the code is unique. There's hints of the X16 in there. A few of the same conclusions. It's just Dr. Asher or whoever took very different paths to get there. So Sarah has even less in common with every other android on the inside. Sorry, didn't expect to hit a dead end here. Not at all. You've been very helpful. Can we still get the registration done? Yeah, no problem. We've got the software and forms all set up here. Occasionally we let a new business partner bring one home fresh from the oven, you know. Oven? Gross. Alright, a few basic questions then. Who's going to be the official owner of this unit? She is. As it says, unless the will disagrees, it's my responsibility. Right then. You fine with the designation, Sarah? We can set it to anything you like. Well, actually... Never mind, Sarah will do fine. Okay, this part's all standard. Civilian model, address, contact info I can get from your crumbs. Do you want to reset factory defaults? Could clear up a lot of quirks. Not right now. The last thing then is the grading. I'm reading 23 tenets here, nothing too far out of the ordinary. 23? That's higher than I expected talking with it. She seemed more malleable than that. Don't blame yourself. Guessing a 10 account from outward appearance has become a crapshoot. Not like it used to be. Used to be they only had 3 tenants total, and every unit had to have them. Then came the first accidents, first lawsuits, then the hearings and the legislature. And the demand for more tenants. A tenant making sure ads couldn't endanger the state. A tenant stating that ads wouldn't divulge private information without prior consent. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to weigh a child and adult lives equally during risk assessment. There was a campaign calling for a tenant to do the opposite. Companies wanted their asses covered, customers wanted guarantees. There was never much incentive to deny a requested tenant, so the list just ballooned. Until the military entered in the market in full force. You sound like you don't approve. I wouldn't go that far. They need to get their ads to be able to pull the trigger when ordered to, without clearing 5,000 lines of bloated hardcore decision points to get them there. I get that. But since the armies are the only ones using tech with bare minimum tenants, all the best, least cluttered, most elegant code is only used for war games. It's not very romantic. Well, not like I was on the jury. Department of Advanced Defense Projects versus Zenith Dynamics. The Supreme Court sided with the military's request and set up a new precedent that every other army around the world will race to meet. Changing tenants from a mandated list at the root of every ad source code to a choose-your-own checklist. It's funny, ads with the most tenants, they're so locked up you can't even have a conversation with them. And outside the armed forces, the only ads with the single-digit tenant counts are just vacuuming floors. The most impressive ones, like I've got right here, fall somewhere in the middle. Sorry, went on a tangent there. Only thing left is the evaluation. What gets evaluated? Total financial worth for insurance purposes. Yeah, the insurance companies made sure we had every accurate algorithms for this. No room for human error, they insisted, with no sense of irony. Wow. I mean, I knew it was custom, but what price could they have possibly... That's a lot of digits. You should know, these formulae are pretty conservative with their estimates. Stingy even. If Sarah's really David's last and greatest work, they say some things are priceless, but when you force an insurance algorithm to pick a number, try not to get any scratches on it, I guess. You spoke differently back there. With Dawes. You spoke like he did, it seemed. Like I copied his accent. You seemed to mirror his effect, his tone. It's called being friendly. What's your point? It was just an observation. You can choose to keep those to yourself, you know. No tenant required. Ugh. Why are you so concerned about registering me in the first place, Adonai? For the same reason I wouldn't drive around in a car without a license plate. Any cop or even just a well-placed camera could have spotted your barcode and seen that it wasn't set up with any actual data. And then they would have arrested me, and then they would have thrown me in the slimer. No, they would have arrested me and put you in an evidence locker. An android can't get arrested? People get arrested. Property gets seized. And then smashed. Great, you put us over the weight limit. I did no such... Morgan Counselor, your presence has been requested on the upper floors. Who's asking? Vice President of Android Futures, Ellen Young. Shouldn't have assumed I still had the opening move. Tell her I'll be right up. I'll redirect your elevator now. Taking control of your elevator is very convenient. Forceful. As if Noble is trying to directly steer your investigation. If Noble wanted to shut me down, they wouldn't have bothered to be subtle. I suppose they could simply refuse to cooperate. Or just let the elevator drop. 3:54 p.m. I think this will be the last little section I do, and then I'll end stream. Because it seems like we've done a lot. I think we've been productive. Noble Electronics. So let's just see what's up in here. Executive Office Young. Is that her? Oh my god, what voice am I gonna give her? Oh, she looks cool as fuck. Right. Speaking first is a sign of weakness, is it? And here I thought I could avoid wading into the swamp of corporate pretend power dynamics. Let's speak first, whatever. I don't have time for this invented staring contest. Inverted. Enjoying the view? I always like this time of day. Not too muggy for you? No, I never liked a clear blue sky. It always seemed cold to me. You're in luck. The sky gets more colorful every year. As the air quality drops. Childish, isn't it? Marveling at the small sheen of rainbow dancing on the surface of a massive oil spill. Apologies for waxing poetic. It's been a very unusual 24 hours around here. Dr. Young. Just Mrs. is fine. Miss Young, I get the feeling you didn't bring me up here to talk about the weather. No, I brought you up here to express my condolences. I'm very sorry for your loss. Thank you, though, I could say the same. I know you and David worked together for many years. Yes, we did, but as much as I'd like to just drop everything in process, the company wheels don't stop spinning for anything. Or anyone. Was Dawes of any help? She sent him, trying to be helpful or just trying to control the narrative? He was great, but that must mean you know why I'm here. I don't want to make assumptions. No need, I'll be explicit. I'm here as an officer of the court, which means I'm bound by law to document every rock I turn over, and every person I speak to. Yes, the lawyers made that all very clear. Lawyers? You have an android. It's not one of ours. You can tell that quickly? Got all the faces memorized? It's easy enough to remember the major archetypes we use, yes. If you're nuts about your work, maybe. It's a recent acquisition, very recent in fact. One of David's last requests, apparently. David asked you take it? Oh, she's pissed. I've been told that you've been to David's estate already. The police gave me full access to the scene. Then you know that he wasn't alone last night. Yes, there was a single witness who met with him and called emergency services when he fainted. I was that witness. Oh, is that so? Really? Obviously. There aren't many people David would bother meeting with in person, let alone welcome them into his house and offering them a drink. I also knew that Young is a superior on paper, though not in fame. And I knew that the witness had Executive Plan 3 insurance, so they had to be higher up than David. Well then, do your lawyers know we're having this conversation? Of course. They're pulling their hair out about it as we speak. I can't imagine why the police cleared you. And you were well within your rights to ask for some privacy given the high-profile nature of all that's happened. So why call me up here? Why cut through all the red tape your lawyers painstakingly hid you behind? Eventually you or some clever lawyer like you would get the record opened. Through legal means or otherwise. The company's enemies are legion, and they have a prying knife for every occasion. Still, that would have taken time. Bitch had to put that shit twice? You serious? Okay. Also, shit, I should save, shouldn't I? I've been playing for a while. Okay. Yeah, maybe it'd be a good idea. But if I lost all this progress, I think I would cry a little. Time you could use to get ahead of what could be the biggest PR hurdle Noble's ever seen. Touché. And so perhaps the truth of the matter is that I simply didn't want to hide. David was my colleague for several years. If I were in your shoes, I would have questioned as well. You're doing this for my sake? No. My reasons are purely selfish. I'm only hoping that talking to someone whose job isn't to defend me from all consequences might prove therapeutic. If she wants to play confessional, that's fine by me. But is that really all that's going on here? Why don't you start from the beginning, then? You went to his home last night. Yes, at around 7:30 p.m., the building's penumbra captured all of that quite clearly. He fell ill around 8, so you spent half an hour together? Why the late call in person? We had an intense discussion yesterday afternoon. David never came in on Saturdays, and I didn't want to spend the weekend glaring at him through screens, so I visited him and he let me in, and we talked. About? The good old days, if you can believe that. Back when we were both new to the company, eager to make a name for ourselves. How long ago was that? 7 or 8 years ago? Miss Young? Putting a number on it, it doesn't sound that long ago, but it feels. We spent a while like that, just talking. He was lively and sharp, and I never would have thought that a few minutes later that he would be dead? That he would commit suicide in front of me. A firm reply. What happened? 8:15, he said he wanted to toast. He got up, walked back into his workshop, and then he must have went down into his basement to get us a bottle. I checked on some messages in the meantime, enjoyed the view. In other words, she stayed on camera. He came back with a bottle of whiskey and 2 plastic cups. We drank, we talked. He got quieter, spoke less. I thought he was just getting drunk. I didn't get worried until he started to fall asleep. You tried to wake him? He wasn't responding. I tried to shake him awake, but he didn't seem. I left him and ran to the kitchen to use the security system. Didn't think to use your phone? No, I suppose I didn't. But it worked out. The Penumbra's emergency protocols were summed, a VTOL straight to his helipad with one button press. When I returned to the parlor, he was limp. I moved him to the floor as delicately as I could. He had a heartbeat, but I just did what I could until they arrived. You went with them to the hospital, I take it? Yes. They insisted. They checked my vitals and ran a tox screen, which came back clean. So, did David's for all the good it did him? I wasn't paying close attention to what they were saying at that point, but I'm sure they ran through every step of the CCE's SOP. That's what they're paid to do. You seem certain that it was suicide. Yes. Why? As I said, he got quieter as the time passed and he spoke less. But the last thing he said to me, the last clear thing he said, was that he was happy ending it here, said he was content. And he downed his glass after that. He drank every last drop. Does that sound like David Asher to you? Curious, restless, perfectionist David? No, I guess it doesn't. I'm thinking... Okay, let's just see all these questions. You said CCE, Standard Operating Procedure, a moment ago. What is that? CCE stands for Counter Corporate Espionage, which is just industry doublespeak for corporate espionage. Only used in self-defense, you understand? So Noble anticipates employees at your level getting poisoned? They give us all kinds of CCE training. Subtly, of course, usually disguised on the itinerary as leadership workshops or psychiatric evaluations. They train you to expect to get murdered at these leadership workshops. Murder is fairly rare at our work level. More likely they'll want us too sick to work. Let us drain company resources in a hospital bed while our position sits vacant. That's smart, like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's terrible, like snipers purposely avoiding vital areas in order to strain the enemy's medical resources. That's nothing compared to when they want to turn you an asset. Feel ill for the rest of your life with an undiagnosable malady. Or become our mole and we'll send you to the antidote every 2 weeks. That's a nasty piece of work. It's a nasty line of work, consulting. I'm sorry? That's just what they call it. Can't exactly put corporate spy on your CV. So every consultant I've met at the cocktail party was actually... It depends. Did they say that they're consultants? Or did they say they were in consulting? What the hell am I supposed to remember? So, do people think that what happened to David was a deliberate attack? Noble's competitors have been trying to get to David for years. And that's the timescale their plans operate on. If this was an attack from a rival corporation, the company would have seen it coming. And they'd probably have struck first. The cups. I've been curious about this ever since I saw the scene. Why the plastic cups? There's a story there. David and I got hired around the same time under similar circumstances. Headhunted while finishing our higher education. During recruiting, the company claimed to want us badly, but in practice, our actual authority was inexperienced and overpaid. You must have been extremely unpopular. You don't mince words. We didn't notice either back then. We were loudly trying to convince our superiors that their entire sales model for androids was antiquated and self-defeating. The two of them made the one-point doctrine. That's not the story I've heard in noble commercials and noble sponsored media. And come to think of it, it's not a story I ever heard from David himself. We had this deadline, self-imposed but still a deadline. We wanted to get our pitch to the president of international sales by end of day. 7 p.m. rolls around and people start filtering out. David has his head buried in diagrams and sales figures. Imagine a technical man like him, a programmer, trying to make a sales pitch. The clock hits 9 and even the zombie starts heading home. I turn to David, tell him that it's not going to happen. We're nowhere near finished and the day's long since been over. He looked at me like I'm the only other person on a sinking boat, and I've just stopped pitching water, and he says, "The president lives on the other side of the globe. We've still got all night until his end of day." We wrapped up at 4 in the morning, just us and the cleaning staff. Back then, only half of them were ads. He finally sends the message and I'm ready to collapse. I've got nothing. We stared blankly at his inbox for the next 40 minutes, hoping that the harsh light would give us the energy to work through the next day. And we got a response. It wasn't long, but it showed he was interested. I had been turned down so many times before then, ignored and placated, passed up and ghosted, but together, David and we had finally gotten a win. So David asks if I've got anything to drink. I've got a bottle of some swill in the cabinet at my desk, but he doesn't want to drink from the bottle. He says he wants to toast. So we sat there at 5:19 in the morning, toasting awful vodka to one another in cups we grabbed from the break room. Toasting our first victory against the corporate beast. Between the lack of sleep and the drinking, the next day at work was hell. Sounds like a good memory. Plastic cups and liquor, that was our little ritual. So I didn't think twice when he presented me with my cup. It was ceremony for us. I think I'll do one more question and then I'll leave the other two for next time. As Vice President of Android Futures, you're David's superior, aren't you? That's correct. Didn't you join the company at around the same time? David was always more interested in his work than he was in climbing the ladder. He didn't like playing the corporate politics game. So, was he unpopular around here? Not unpopular, no. Not the great Dr. David Asher. Misunderstood, perhaps. How so? He could be blunt, demanding, some might say. He wasn't trying to be, it's just not everyone could work at the same pace as he did for as long as he did. Even with the whole company huffing those inhalers, they couldn't keep pace with David. Speaking of which, I don't see any at Young's desk. Maybe it's just not something you leave out in the open at her level. So you would say that his work-life balance was... Balance implies the two are odds with one another. We use work-life harmony here at the company. Fascinating. So was he in harmony? No. David had always plenty of suitors, but he was never willing to put the time in. But I'm sure you're more knowledgeable than I am on that subject. Right. What do you mean? I had to help him draft a lot of apology notes over the years for misunderstandings and double bookings. Scandalous. Okay, quick. The A16 only entered production this year, correct? Correct. The order started last holiday, and we began shipping in the first quarter. I understand that you were instrumental in the success of War Androids. I played my part supervising the launch, yes. Weren't you the one who designed serotonin, the factor that enabled communication between synthetic and organic parts? I'm surprised you've heard of that. I did lead that project, yes, but that was years ago. At the time, serotonin was little more than novelty, a dead end. It wasn't until David took the reins on the A16 that we found a use for it. Took the reins? He was lead programmer on limb coordination, facial expression, exhaustion parameters, and he designed the synthetic nerves that made all of that possible. David did all of that? That's a lot more than just programming. He was always so gifted in that many fields. Did he fill those roles on the A14 and or A15? No. He used to stick steadfast to his role as a software architect. That was his field of expertise, and he didn't wander far. But 2 or 3 years back, he started sitting on the other department, taking notes. Soon he was joining the discussion, proposing new ideas, and eventually they came to follow his lead. Just like that? Just like that. So he just applied himself, and soon he was leading other departments. That's the kind of genius that Dr. David Asher was. Maybe they weren't paying him enough. The company profited the most, of course, but the entire industry benefited from his vision and leadership. His loss will be felt for years. So this android, Sarah, even DOS couldn't find any real details on where it came from. It's not in any of our systems? I'm afraid not. Did David ever talk to you or anyone else at the company about a pet project? Pet? No, he never gave me any indication like that. And if he didn't talk to me about it, I seriously doubt he confided in anyone else at the company. David didn't trust anyone higher on the chain than himself and anyone below him. Frankly, they couldn't possibly hope to give him advice. He never mentioned me? No, never. Androids don't come cheap. You never heard about him requisitioning parts or resources? There were never any discrepancies with his company credit card. The company's accountants are mythless, even by industry standards. They wouldn't humor anybody. Not even David Asher. If they had ever detected financial discrepancies, there would have been an uproar loud enough you could hear it from the mailroom. You have a mailroom? Not since the 30s, just a figure of speech. He couldn't have taken resources from the company without leaving a record. But no one would deny Dr. David Asher information. He would have been able to obtain all the necessary data to build his own android. Then, with enough time and money, he could privately purchase the raw materials himself. I don't understand. It must have taken him years to build Sarah. He wasn't doing anything illegal, except the hacking stuff. So why keep it a secret? I don't know. But he was private and a perfectionist. Perhaps he simply wasn't proud of his results. No! Could be. Well, thanks for taking the time to talk to me. I'm sure this has been a difficult day for you. A difficult day for all of us. A message from Fran. And that's where we're gonna leave it. Let's save the game and let's overwrite this one. And that's where we're gonna leave it. To title. Yes. But I think the plot thickens a lot and I'm hooked. This is a very interesting game and I'm very curious to see where it would lead us. But that'll have to continue another time. So let's find someone to raid, shall we? Let's open Twitch over here. Let's raid Hazard Macaroni. They're playing Repo, a game I've never played and I think I'm too scared to play, to be honest, but seems very fun. So I hope you have a lovely rest of your Saturday and that you have a cool weekend. Maybe if you oh my god, I can't speak. If you celebrate Christmas, I hope you enjoy the festivities. Tomorrow, I'm decorating my house for Christmas and building our Christmas tree, so I'm very excited. I'll tell you on Discord when I'll stream next. And that's it. Have a very lovely rest of your day. Thank you for streaming. Take care. Enjoy the weekend. You too. Have a lovely one. Bye bye, everyone. Mwah.